Hello everyone, Factoring Days video. We're going to have a look at whether next week 10 days. In today's video, this will take us to around the 22nd of June. So, we've got a bit of a mixed bag coming up this week. It is going to try and settle down. It will settle down at times, southern parts of the country, but in the north, I'm sure it truly settles down, really. There will be some showery bursts coming through during the week, although over the weekend it looks like high pressure will be building in quite nicely across most parts of the country. So a fairly decent weekend coming up. And then as we look ahead to next week, that's what we'll be concentrating on in today's video update. Going to start off with the Central England temperature from Hadley. This is provisional up to yesterday, 11th of the month, so we currently stand provisionally at 14.6, which is an anomaly of around 1 degree above average. So it's not felt that warm over the last few days, but we are still running around a degree, a little bit more above the long-term average. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, of the GFS is on the bottom. We'll have a look at it in a moment. 500 millibars, 8,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure, low pressure, being grabbed by the jet stream. And on these charts, red extrapolates to high pressure, orange and red, blue to low pressure. The mean flow charts are covering the next 7 to 10 days, so they'll take us to around 22nd of June. And we find with the ECMWF, we've got a ridge of above average heights here, sitting very close to the UK and to Western Europe. The jet stream is going a little bit to the north, rather like that as well. So it does imply that as we're running into the weekend and on into next week, we should see high pressure becoming increasingly influential, giving us a spell of fairly dry and warm weather. The GFS is very similar. Again, we've got an area of above average height in a slightly different position, but the same sort of idea. Really high pressure is there across the west of Europe and going a little bit towards the north as well. We've got this low pressure in the Atlantic, which is putting this ridge under some pressure, but certainly out to a 7 to 10 day time frame, looks like high pressure is in control. So I think the weekend of next week, the early part of next week anyway, is promising to be fairly dry and fairly warm as well. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. The red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average. So the general idea is that for the next week, dates on the bottom of the charts, this takes us into the second half of June just there. And the idea is that for the next week, the temperatures are going to be generally above average. Now we do have a slide in those temperatures going on as we get through into next week. So around this time next week, we might start to see the temperatures beginning to cool down. Actually, they are going a little bit on the cool side there, anything from around sort of the 20th of June through to that period, which is around 25th, something like that. They do look rather cool then, those temperatures. But precipitation, we've got a few rainfall spikes just there, around the 16th. This is for London, by the way. If we were to look at a ensemble for somewhere further north, it would be more unsettled than this. But down in the south, we've got a few rainfall spikes there around the middle part of the month. But otherwise, actually, a lot of dry weather coming up for the next week, and then possibly bringing more unsettled conditions back as we're running up towards the end of the month. Temperature anomalies are looking warmer than average from the 12th through to the 20th of June. We see that temperature anomaly is on the mild and average side, as it is for most parts of Europe. I spoke about this in the Gaza, this sunny round yesterday, looking very hot down across Spain and Portugal in the next week. Precipitation anomalies are drier than average from the 12th to the 19th of June. And those places coming out on the drier than average side. This is how the GFS is looking for Friday. Then the Azores high is building up from the southwest, turning things mostly dry and quite warm in the south, a little bit more unsettled up in the north. That high pressure sticking around as we go through into Saturday and into Sunday as well. You notice always more influence from the Atlantic and from weather fronts for Scotland, so always a little bit more, so never truly settling down across Scotland even at the weekend, but the bulk of the country actually looking mostly dry and quite warm as we go through the weekend. But out into next week, that high pressure begins to slip out to the west of us. We start to pull cooler winds down from the northwest, and that's how we go through up to the middle part of next week, with high pressure generally centred west of the country. We bring the wind in from the north, so obviously it's going to be cooler than it is over the weekend, but still fairly pleasant, of course. It is June, so whenever the sun comes out, it's not going to feel too bad, but probably quite cool by night. And if there's cloud with these northerly winds, then yes, it will be quite cool by day as well. Day 10, which is Thursday 22nd of June, just see a little bit of system running down the North Sea, maybe bringing some rain to eastern counties, but that's a very long way off and wouldn't be too concerned about that. This is the ECMWF for Friday again. We've got the ridge building up from the southwest. That's going to give us a mostly dry and fine spell as we're going into the weekend. I think temperatures could be up to the mid-20s Celsius over weekend down in the south. It's going to be a very, very pleasant weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, looking mostly fine, very warm. Really is going to be a nice weekend indeed. And then that high pressure sticks around the country as we go into the start of next week as well. This is when the GFS is trying to pull that high pressure out to the west of us. The ECMWF isn't as keen on that, and it just keeps things generally most dry and quite warm. There's a little bit of low pressure trying to push up from the south there on Tuesday 20th of June. That would be threatening some thundery showers for southern counties. Again, I'm not sure about that. The general idea from the ECMWF is to keep that high pressure very close to the country as we're going up to day 10. So this is the chart for day 10, which is Thursday, 22nd of June. That high pressure is in and it's still dominating the weather, and the air is being dragged up from a southerly southeasterly direction. So I think the ECMWF is probably suggesting quite a hot week actually next week, with temperatures maybe going into the upper 20s Celsius, where for GFS looks a lot cooler. It's mostly dry, but GFS is a lot cooler there compared to what the ECMWF is showing. So we're in for quite a bit of fine weather really over the next few days. Never truly settling down at the weekend anyway for Scotland, but for the rest of us, I think as we get through the end of the week and the weekend, we are looking at quite a dry and warm spell of weather, and that possibly lasts into next week. But we've got this split between the two models. GFS wants to take high pressure out to west, bring winds down from the north. The ECMWF actually is quite a hot run today and keeps things generally warm and mostly dry through much of next week. We should wait and see how that pans out. But definite improvements anyway on what we had through the early part of June. So, and we did say this in the June forecast, that we're expecting the second half of the month to have a lot more dry and warm weather compared to the first half, and we have got the evidence of that. So that idea, I think, has worked out quite well. It's just going to depend how long that drier and warmer spell of weather lasts for. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.